You are listening to the USDN on the DSPN.
It's a trap!
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. Today's episode is about something bigger than comics. It's about building something from nothing, because joining us tonight is a creator coming out of Colombia, pushing into the global space and building his own universe, one character at a time. From Drako Sambos Incorporated, we're talking about the grind, the vision, and what it really takes to create your own line in the indie comic world. This isn't just about art. This is about ownership, identity, and legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, the Council of Nerds is now in session. Alejandro, welcome to the USDN.
Hello, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Hey, dude, it is really awesome to finally get you on the podcast. I know you've been scheduled for quite a while now, and that's just been the nature of the podcast for the last couple of months. Is we're booked months in advance, so I'm happy to get you on and to get your voice and your work out in front of the rest of the world. So let's jump into it, man. For those who are just now discovering you and just meeting you for the first time, who are you and where does your story begin in comic books?
Okay, so my name is Alejandro, and I am 31 years old, and I started in 2009. I get in love with manga. I started on manga, copying Night of the Zodiac. I don't know if you know the anime.
I'm not familiar with a whole lot of manga.
Yeah, and I start copying, and I'm good with the storytelling, so I challenge myself to create my own universe, and I end my school here in Cali, Colombia, and I started my studies in an university in fine arts. And fine arts give me this conceptualization that comic needs, and this semiotic and these matters that help on the storytelling. And I started in 2017 my entrepreneurship called Drako Sambos Inc. And yes, and I start developing my own universe.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up learning from DC Comics. That is from the two great brands, is that one that I'm more attached. And also with the MCU, that I learned to organize a universe that Marvel Cinematic Universe is a very helps you a lot on the on how to organize a universe.
Yeah. But
Uh, yep. Tell me.
so growing up in Colombia, what was it like for somebody interested in comic books and like that kind of things? Because like, what was your access like to get comic books and manga and things like that? Was it readily available? Like, can you go down to the comic book shop?
No, no. Comics in Colombia is a new thing here.
Mhm.
So it's very hard to see a comic shop like you see in the States or in Canada. But there's a lot of people that loves the comic. When the MCU started on 2008, this started a boom here in Colombia.
Okay.
So there's a lot of people that loves the comic books. Colombia has a very good literature things with Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So we have the passion, we have the love for the comics,
Mhm.
but there's no an industry like Marvel, DC Comic, Dark Horse Image, or manga in Japan. But we are growing. We are growing on that matter.
And you're leading the way, my man, with your own line of comic books. Um, so was there a moment where you said, I'm not just going to draw, but I'm going to make comic books? When was that for you where you were just like, I have this talent, I'm going to use this talent to make comic books?
Well, in 2011, I was more younger and I was more immature on how the world works, and
Mhm.
more in the comic and art industry. And I come to the States and I go to Disney and see and I watch all the process of Walt Disney with his industry, and I was thinking I wanted it to make the same and grow my own universe.
Mhm.
And I started before I start drawing comics. I start drawing toons,
Okay.
like Mickey Mouse and all these things. And I start drawing two dragon toons that are called Drako and Sambos. That's why I and from these characters I grow all my universe. That's why it's Drako and Sambos Inc.
Okay.
And yeah, and my I learned from my own. It, I start drawing and improving my skills on myself. But in 2000, before after I end my studies on my university, I start watching the tutorials of David Finch, Mark
Mhm.
Silvestri, and James Reyes, the box office artist,
Oh yeah.
and I get in love with that kind of way to draw and on how they tell stories.
Mhm.
That that Mark Silvestri school.
Yeah.
So I go to that kind of school, and I
Okay.
started to my own universe.
So what is Draco and Sambos?
Drako Sambos Inc. is my own comic brand here in Colombia. I'm trying to build an industry like Marvel and DC created on the States,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to build an industry um, in in the independent to the American industry, or
Mhm.
Japanese industry, and trying to build my own thing, and helping other new artists here in Colombia, and tell them that it's possible to work on comics, to
Mhm.
to create their own brands, or yeah, live with it. That is, right now it's hard, but I'm trying to get an easier life in the comic industry here in Colombia.
No, I like to hear it. And I know before we had gone live, a friend of mine who was on the podcast not long ago with his book, he had actually flown down to Colombia. I believe it was Colombia to meet his artist to go to a local shop, like a small comic shop, to do a signing of the book that they had did together. So it's really cool to see the industry there growing, and for people like you creating your own companies to help that industry move forward in Colombia. And it's, to me, that's the coolest thing ever, is taking something that doesn't exist there yet, or it does, but just in small pockets, but trying to push it to a bigger scale, not just in your hometown, but through the whole country. And that to me is just really cool to see you doing that, man. So why create a brand instead of just being an artist? You could have just, been an artist and, did work for other people. Why go all that way to create this whole brand?
That's a very good question that I'm still asking myself in this entrepreneur process.
Mhm.
But that I don't like to copy or work with another uh, intellectual properties. I like to create my own.
Mhm.
I i i challenge myself to create my own characters, to make a new thing, to innovate on in a comic industry, in a global comic industry that already have a Superman, Spider-Man, and all
Mhm.
these superheroes that we all know. And I'm trying to create new superheroes, new universe that show the audience new things
Mhm.
and new perspectives from the superhero genre and all the genres that you can draw in a comic.
So, is all your characters and your IPs, are they all within the same universe, or are they separate?
I have two I have two lines that are Warriors of Power, that are my superheroes,
Mhm.
and it's cool. There is a zombie industry, a zombie universe. Sorry, zombie universe.
Okay. So let's jump into and talk about your projects that you currently have right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Archer of Heat and how did that project come together? Because that's the one you had sent to me that I got to read, and I like it. It's, dude, it's just this cool new concept that I've not had a chance to read something like it before. So how did that come about, and how did you put that together?
Okay. Uh, I create these characters in my school time when I was in school. I get inspired by my classmates and myself, so I create with the personification of my classmates. I create superheroes, like their own identity, superhero identity from themselves. So I from a girl classmate, I create this Archer of Hit, this Captain Yule, and I I developed her universe. I create another ones, and I create my my comic universe to step by step which comic I will be releasing, which I will be working, and so Archer of Heat is a calokinetic super heroine, an archer, um, that um, that I always love archer superheroes like Green Arrow, Hawkeye, like Legolas in the Lord of the Rings. So I create her and I develop this calokinetic power on her, and I love I love that characters have these common issues on their life, these inside conflicts that make more human the characters for the audience get attached to it. So that's exactly how I create Archer of Hit.
So, being new to the industry,
I'm not listening to you well, Jeff.
yes.
No, I'm listening to you too far.
What do you mean? Oh, sorry. No, I had muted myself because I had coughed and I didn't want it to cough into the microphone. So I apologize.
No
I'm
worries.
trying- it happens sometimes. My cat walked in at the same time. So you've been at this now for quite a few years. What has been some of the important lessons that you've learned across this journey into comic books?
Mm, what I learned is don't being rush on the process to love eh, every part of the process.
Mhm.
Um, I am I have to say I'm a hand drawing comic artist. I don't
Yeah.
like digital art. I prefer a traditional comic
Yeah.
art. So uh, what I learned is to enjoy the process, to um, enjoy the penciling, the inking, all this part, and I'm the only one on working on my universe. So I
Mhm.
write, I draw, I ink, and I color my my own comics. So I have learned a lot the writing aspects. I learned a lot about the drawing skills, and as I told you before, as I love this David Fincher, Mark Silvestri
Mhm.
style, so
Yeah.
I love these details that they do on their drawings. So what I learn most is to enjoy the process.
Oh no, dude. I mean, if you're not enjoying it, I mean, it's kind of like you're cheating yourself if you're not enjoying it, right?
Yes.
So tell us about some of your other projects that you have going on. You have Golden Fleet.
Right now, I'm developing the second issue of Archer of Hit.
Okay.
Um, I'm also preparing the script for my first Colombian superhero, an
Oh, nice.
anti-hero, an anti-hero, and I am developing another ones. Doesn't have yet a script, but I'm developing another ones. A Brazilian superhero. Is that right now as we are living in a very global world. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
if you live in Colombia, you know what happens on Brazil, on the States, or Canada. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to develop characters that not only come from Colombia, but it comes from Europe, from States,
Mhm.
Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, Japan, Africa. So they are more superheroes from Earth, not from any specific country.
Okay. No, I like it, man. I like that you're not just like you're looking at it from a global scale and bringing it to life, dude. That's really cool to see that you're doing that, and that's something that you are working on. Can you kind of walk us through your process from your idea to like a finished comic page? Because you're writing, you're also doing the drawing, the inking, the colors. You're doing everything. Kind of walk us through that process a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Normally, before I start a process, I read a lot. I read a lot, not only comics. I also read books, um, and I love the process that, for example, that use manga.
Mhm.
The manga normally uh, investigate, read a lot from, for example, from mythology, myths.
Mhm.
So I read a lot on that, and from that I create my superheroes. I also uh, create a concept for the conflict. For example, Archer Pit with her. I normally and his telekinetic powers. I try to with her. I all his story is from his emotional vulnerability. So I grow all his story around this emotional vulnerability. So I try to do that, create a log line with that, and I start from them, and create the character and the story and all the characters around her. Also, I think I and yes, that's how I the writing part, and then I with InDesign I create how I will be uh, establishing the pages and how I
Mhm.
will be drawing the panels. And from them, I start the layouts, the thumbnails, and start drawing on my table.
So, do you lay out a storyboard and then start the whole process of drawing it?
Yeah.
Okay. Ah, I like it, man. I like it. So, I know you said you prefer. Do you do like everything by hand, like, or do you do the drawing and then like, do you take the picture of the drawing and then upload it to like your iPad and then do the color in there, or you just straight colors and all on paper, the whole nine?
No, no. I only do the drawing and the inking on paper, on by hand, and
Mhm.
the color in Photoshop.
Okay.
I scan the drawings, and in Photoshop I add the colors.
And I think that's how most people are doing it these days. Anyway, is I don't know how many people are actually inking or not inking, but doing coloring by hand anymore. So it's one of those things where I kind of feel like I don't want to say people aren't doing it, but I think it's one of those processes that's kind of dying off as new technology comes to life.
I don't think that is dying. I think that also adding this AI growing and developing right now is that we are going. It's the AI and the digital is growing so fast that people will get will get saturated very easily.
Hmm.
And drawing by hand, or not only drawing, painting, all this art that was normally done by hand, people will be getting back to it lately. For example, Snowbird, this short film from Aaron Blaze. I don't know if you see it, if you watch
Uh-uh.
it.
I
This
don't honestly get to watch a whole lot of TV at all.
is a short film from old, uh, to the traditional animation
Hmm.
artist from Disney
Okay.
that create his own short film,
Okay.
by hand. Um, and right now is also winning prizes and all, academic awards and all of
Hmm.
this. So people is trying to return to this traditional ways to do. So I don't think that it is dying, the this process.
No, I, it's one of those where I don't want to see it disappear because, like, the colors and the drawing, I think you lose some of the passion when you do it through, whether it's Photoshop or what have you. The passion isn't there, when it's done that way. So I really do prefer to see things done by hand the traditional way. So what part of the process do you really enjoy the most?
The pencil and the ink.
Okay.
Most the inking part. As I said before, I watch a lot of these David Finch, Mark Silvestri tutorials, and their process,
Hmm.
their lives on YouTube, or this process of the box office artist, James Race, and this obsession with details. The inking part is the most that I enjoy most.
Okay. So what do you think is actually the hardest part about finishing a project?
Finishing the process is starting and finishing the process.
Yeah.
Nor, yes, and normally when you are in a process, your mind starts to create a new one. So you get in a position that you want to end or stop to create a new one. But and yes, and sometimes you get lazy, you get, I don't know, human mind
Oh yeah.
is hard
Yep.
sometimes. And yes, so the hardest part is finishing the process, starting and finishing the process.
Hmm.
That is the
No,
hardest.
dude, I 100% agree. It's the same doing this. It's one of those where I know I have work to get done, whether it's creating clips or writing questions for an interview. It's one of those sometimes it's like you got to give yourself that kick in the rear end to get yourself going. But then once you're going, it's you can crank them out really fast. But man, it's just so hard to get yourself there sometimes. So sometimes you have to literally just force yourself into it, and it's hard to do. I wholeheartedly agree with it. Um, so let's talk about a little bit about, like, the social media concept of creating, because without it we're nowhere, right? We rely so heavily on our social media, to whether it's advertising your appearance or advertising an upcoming appearance of somebody else. social media is a grind upon itself, despite the workload that we are already doing in regards to building interviews, getting ready for a show, and that kind of stuff. What works for you in that mind frame of, is it Instagram? Is it YouTube? Is it TikTok? What kind of works for you to help bring in people to the projects that you're working on?
Mm, you have to understand. You have to understand and accept that social media is ruling the world.
Oh yeah.
If you don't use social media, it's hard to grow up in the industry. Instagram is very hard. Instagram, if you
Yeah.
don't get the algorithm, it's very hard
And
to
it changes so often. That's been my hardest. That and threads, I think, have been the hardest to kind of to crack into. Like, I would say like the last 3 to 4 months, probably, I've gotten my best growth, and I'm still continuing to see that grow, thankfully. But yeah, those two are the hardest two by far.
Instagram is a very good channel for your social circles, for your friends, your family, all these people that knows you and you know them. But for artists, your best help is YouTube and TikTok, and
Hmm.
and TikTok is the most friendly social media for artists. They, it helps you a lot to grow up. TikTok,
Mhm.
a lot. And
Yeah.
YouTube is more a consistency. You need
Mhm.
to be more consistent on YouTube. It's hard because create a reel or a short or a great video is very hard. But so these short videos on TikTok is more easily, and TikTok, the algorithm of TikTok is very friendly for new artists.
Okay. No, and I go back and forth on TikTok. Like, do I want to start TikTok? Just share my short clips on, because I get good traction with those on Instagram and YouTube Shorts. So it's one of those where I'm like, if I could leverage TikTok to grow my other platforms, it may be worth it, but I don't know, because you never know what the algorithm is going to be and whether something is going to work on one platform or the other. Um, so what kind of content works for you? Is it like where you're illustrating, or what you're writing, or you're coloring? What kind of content on your social media gets you like the most reactions?
Okay, I don't show my writing part.
Mhm.
The Normally the writing part is on my backstage process.
Yeah.
But uh, I normally sometimes I'm doing my own characters, and other times I'm making commissions or fan arts or projects with another universe. For example, right now I'm making a cinematic process a poster of DC Comics of Superman.
Okay.
Um, but normally my insights on social media react more when I'm drawing my own characters than
Mhm.
when I'm drawing other intellectual properties
Okay.
from.
Yeah. No, dude, it's such a tough nut to crack on social media, man. But it's once you find what I think works for you is when it really starts. The algorithm starts working in your favor. It's just finding what works. Like, I know my shorts go to everywhere. They go to Facebook, they go to Instagram, they go to Threads, Blue Sky, and it just depends on who I was talking to or who the interview was with that really determines what kind of reactions I get because they're there to see the person I'm talking to. So for me, it's like I have to borrow um, the likes and the clicks and the follows from that person basically and try to bring them over to enjoy mine as well because I'm talking to your favorite today, but I hope to maybe the person I'm talking to in a couple of days you will also like and give them a follow and follow me as well because to me that's like the inner circle of life of social media, right? When you do what I do from my perspective is I have to dip my hands into everybody's pot of gold, so to speak, and try to convert into my followers as well. But so you're still building Sambos from scratch right now. What is keeping you motivated and keeping you going when you just feel like you're getting nowhere? Like what keeps you going and pressing that forward?
That I know that I have a lot to tell to my readers,
Mm,
so that is my main motivation, and I'm 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 trying to become with Drako Sambos Inc. like DC and Marvel is in the States here in
yeah.
Colombia. So that motivates me a lot because I
Mm,
know why what I'm carrying on me. So I know it's hard. Right, right now I'm having my comics on Amazon
mm,
and in Global Comics,
okay.
but it's hard. It's very hard when you're in the comic and you're starting.
Oh
It's
yeah.
very hard because nobody knows you, and
Mm,
the reality is that the industry is um, how can I say is more focused on DC and Marvel
yeah.
and the, and the many American comic brands and and manga. But I am really motivated. I'm trying right now. I'm trying to search these three publisher here in
Mm,
Colombia that it can help me distributing more my comics here and
yeah.
maybe thinking in an international way. But my goals are here in Colombia. I'm I want that the comic industry here is a thing.
Mm,
So that really motivates me a lot because I'm helping myself and also helping new artists in the industry here in my
yeah.
country.
And that's and I love to hear you say that because that's one of my driving factors into doing what I do and presenting indie creators like yourself here on the podcast is to put you in front of a newer audience. That way we can expand what it is, your reach and your audience to new people. And it's really cool that you are doing what you're doing for Colombia right now. So how do you stay consistent when things are kind of slow? Like if it's slow and just you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, how do you stay consistent with what you're working on and what you're doing?
Well, you have to understand and accept that it's a long process.
Mm,
The it's that when you're starting entrepreneurship, doesn't matter where in the comic industry and other thing, um, it always will always take a while if you want to um, get another get in the market and getting readers. And so you have to understand that there is a long process. It's and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That the most important thing is that you enjoy it, because it is very normal that you have bad seasons, and that you will have good seasons. So if you enjoy it, you will carry in all the process. Doesn't matter if you have a bad or a good season.
Mhm. So, what advice would you give new creators starting right now from nothing like you did?
Mm, to read a lot, to uh, use social media. With social media like YouTube, Instagram, you will know these artists like David Finch, like Jim Lee, like Ryan Benjamin, like all these
Mhm.
artists that already have their career. So you know what is the style that you want to draw, or if you want to write, or if you want to color or ink. And um, and yes, that's my big advice, and my biggest advice is to enjoy it, and don't rush, enjoy the process, and everything will come.
Mhm. So, what does making it look like for you?
um, that people enjoy what I do, that I keep enjoying my process. If 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 for certain time I stop enjoying what I did, I will stop doing this. And um and yes, that people enjoy what I publish, and that I still enjoy it, still enjoying it.
Yeah. So, where do you see Draco and Sambos in, let's say, 3 years?
mm, in Comic Cons, like having my own stand up there, showing my comics.
Mhm.
uh, I Right now, I'm publishing my comics digital in Amazon, but I'm trying that my comics are getting sales physical.
Yeah.
So seeing my comics on in shops,
Mhm.
that's my goal for 3 years with Drako Sambos Inc. Here in Colombia, in international, that's up after. That's
No, dude, I like it, dude. You have to, you dream big, and dude, there's nothing more than I want to see. Walk into my local comic shop one day and see your comic book sitting on the shelf, or going to a Comic Con and seeing you and your work there at the Comic Con, and you selling your work. That'd be like the dopest thing, man. Just knowing where you started this journey to finally being there. You know what I'm saying?
yes, totally. Um, and will be a dream to sharing Comic Con with all this, with David Finch, or I don't know, these
Yeah.
things, these artists that already have their profession on comics.
Dude, the only thing left to do is to do it, right? You got to make it happen.
Yes, yes.
So, if someone discovers your work today, what do you want them to remember?
Mm, That's a very good question. I don't know.
Come on, man.
Uh, my drawing style, the way that I tell my stories, how I develop my characters, and that they feel attached, emotionally attached with my characters. That
Mhm.
the the same way that people react with Spider-Man or Superman, I want to to create the same. That's that's a thing.
Dude, I like it. And I'm going to tell you what I want them to remember. I want them to remember Alejandro as the dude who put indie comics on the same level as DC and Marvel in Colombia. That is what I want them to remember. I want them to know that you're the guy who's going to be responsible for that happening in Colombia. Because, dude, you're motivated and you're doing it.
I'm totally more motivated, and you have to. You have to.
Dude, 100%, 100%. And I'll tell you what, let's do this again in a year.
I'm
All
really
right.
I'm open, and
Or 6 months. Let's say 6 months. Let's do this again and let's see where we're at and where you're at. All right. So put it
yeah,
on your calendar, on the calendar with me in 6 months because, dude, you're going places and I really want to keep up with the journey that you're taking, not just your cell phone, not just your Draco and Sambos, but the ride that you're getting ready to take Columbia on and with your comic books and with what you're trying to do to help bring other comic book artists, other comic book writers along with you in Colombia to a bigger stage. And dude, let's make it happen. All right.
that helps me a lot, and will be like a kind of training for me on this podcast bar, and speaking to
I like
someone.
it, dude. I
And
and if you want to do another podcast, I know a couple of them who also work with indie comics, and I will shoot them your information and your name and see if you can get on one of their podcasts as well. That way, you can practice some more English with them, and B, you can talk about your work some more with them as well. All right,
of course, that
all
will
right,
be a very helpful tool for me.
all right. I'll make it. I'll shoot them a message when we're done here tonight. But let's do some rapid fire questions. All right.
Okay,
Favorite comic artist? And I got a feeling I know what you're going to say.
David Finch.
I knew it. Indie
Yeah.
comics are mainstream.
Depends on the character and the artist.
Okay. Dream collaboration.
Hmm. DC. DC Comics.
Okay. Do you prefer physical copies or digital?
Physical copies.
Oh, same, same. It's nothing like holding a comic book in your hand
Or a book. Or a
or a
book.
book.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Alejandro, now's the time. I want you to sell Alejandro and Draco and Sambos to everybody. And then I want you to tell them where they can find you on social media. All right.
Yeah. You can find all my comics on Amazon. I have 3 comics there, and you will see my social media in Instagram as Drako Sambos Inc. Alejandro Rosales 94, in TikTok as Drako Sambos Inc. 01, and in YouTube I have my Drako Sambos Inc. TV channel. There, well, you will see my streamings, my own streamings, and my process.
I like it. So for everybody wondering, I will have all those links down in the description. It might be in the description now if you look at the YouTube version of it. All the links are already in the description. And when this goes live on both YouTube and podcast platforms, you will be able to find all his links to his social media there as well. Alejandro, I can't thank you enough for giving us the opportunity to talk to you tonight and to let us introduce you to the rest of the world, man. It was such a blast to have you on and to talk to you and help you practice English, man. I loved it. It was fun. You did so good. So,
Yes,
but
and I thank you also. I appreciate that you give me these chances on the podcast to get myself known, and it's my first time in a English speaking podcast. It's my first
you did great.
Is my first time in a podcast in general, not only in English. So
You did great. You really did, dude. And like I said, I'm going to pass your information over to a friend of mine who does something similar to what I do. He focuses a little bit more on the process. So you can talk about how the process more with him, because that's kind of what he does. And but I'll shoot you his information, or shoot him your information, and let you have a conversation with him and see if y'all can't get a date figured out for you to appear on his podcast as well. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's all about. Creators stepping up, building their own worlds, and putting their vision out into the universe. Alejandro is proof that you don't need permission to start. You just need the drive to keep it going. Make sure you follow his journey, support his work, and keep your eyes on what he's building with Drako and Sambos. It is going to be big, not just for himself, but for the country of Colombia and possibly the world soon. And to everyone out there chasing something of your own, keep building, keep creating, and keep pushing forward. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the USDN podcast, where indie comics come to life. The Council of Nerds is adjourned. Y'all be safe out there.
thank you a lot, Jeff.
Yes, sir.